Hello and welcome back. So we are going to continue with the participants, and I would just quick reminder that this is where we left off, the four values of national statement. We need to go through these first couple of pages of the national statement, look at what is required in terms of how to contact and how to manage the participants who are going to contribute to your research. The next part, again, I'm going to talk about how do we approach the different participant populations that we talked about. So we talked about organizational members, students, acquaintances, social networks, people from any area of walk of life, perhaps from social media, people you do not even know, and all of those people. So the key over here is to eliminate any power relationships. That's what we are looking for. So when, for example, you are recruiting through an organization, you cannot ask the managers to go and look for participants for you. No, the managers can circulate the information about your project to the workers, to other people in the organization, but they cannot ask them to participate. So if anybody is interested in participating in your research, they have to contact you directly and let you know that I would like to participate in your research. You do not ask the managers or somebody who has an influence to recruit on your behalf. Similarly, you're recruiting students. You need to tell us that you are going to do it in an ethical manner, which means that you do not have any influence on the students. I mean, you clearly tell them participation is at your own, for your own self to decide if you want to participate or not. You do not have to participate. There is no impact on your studies, no impact on your assessments, nothing. So it's and better if you ask somebody else. If, for example, you are looking at your own students who know you, you might ask a colleague of yours to distribute the information. And if any one of those students wants to participate in your study, they contact you directly, say that I would like to participate in this study. So make sure that all the recruitment is done in a manner where there's no power relationship involved. You are looking at recruiting from your own friends, family members. You have to give them a free choice. You cannot ask them to participate in your research. So that's a very key point that you need to remember. The second that I'm going to talk about is vulnerable groups. So people who cannot maybe decide on their own, or they have some other kind of vulnerability that you make sure that you are not exploiting as any weakness that those people might have. So let's, for example, talk about children. Children can be influenced by other things. So you need to, when you are recruiting children in your research, first of all, for very young children, you need to have the parental consent. So you need to inform the parents that this is what I'm going to do. This is what my research is about. I would like to ask your permission. So give them an information statement, have them sign this information statement. And then with their consent, you approach the children and you approach them according to their age group. So nicely explain to them very clearly, according to their own age group, explain to them what they need to do in your research project and seek their consent also. So they have to give your consent to be part of that project. So we would like to we would like to see everything done in a manner where there's no power relationship, there's no influence, nothing. So they participate of their own free will. Elderly people, again, they may not have their own capacity to, or they would like to participate, but they do not know how to, they do not know you, and you need to approach them in a manner which is respectful, and you need to explain it to them well. If they're not able to take the decision themselves, then maybe have a family member involved in the research where the family member is able to get their consent, explain to them what needs to happen and what the research is about, and if they want to participate in that. Similarly, anybody who is physically or mentally disabled, you need to make sure that they either are able to, if they're able to take a decision for themselves, project has to be explained well. there is no other influencing authority, like, for example, the management of the area in which they're living in. They cannot ask them to participate. It has to be done of their free will. And maybe somebody who is caring for them, somebody who is helping them, can help them in taking a decision whether they want to participate in your research or not. So again, power relationships need to be eliminated. Indigenous is a special case. If you are approaching First Nations people, you need to first of all make sure that you read the guidelines which are published by the Australian Institute of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island Studies, ISIS. And if you're specifically targeting the Indigenous and First Nation population, you might need to go to them, to ISIS for a review rather than to us. If you're approaching minorities, again, you need to make sure that those minorities, you approach them with respect, which is the common norm in their own societies, in their own culture, and they are able to understand you, and they are able to give you a consent for participation in a most in a manner which is respectful, and there's justice in what they are, how they are recruited, and how they participate in your research. So yeah, these are some types of vulnerable groups. You need to also read in the National Statement, Chapter 2.1, which is on risks and benefits. I talked about that earlier a little. When there is there is some risk, it should be minimized to either discomfort or inconvenience. That's probably the maximum that you should go. Make sure, of course, that there is no harm, and you need to explain that risk to the participants. There is the questions that, for example, tell them that the questions that I'm going to ask you may cause you stress. So then what is the stress level, and maybe what is the support service which is required in order to deal with that stress or anxiety which may be experienced. So you need to assess the risk, you need to identify the risk, you need to gauge what is the probability, the severity of that risk, and then manage and minimize it to discomfort and inconvenience level. Make sure that there is some support which is available to the participants in case they want to. So all of that risk should be clearly minimized, and should be justified by the potential benefits of the research. So I hope that the participation is clear to you in how you approach the participants, how you recruit them, and how you document all of that for the Ethics Review Board in order to completely, fully review your application. Thank you.